What's up everyone, Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick and I have an album review for you. So another one that was on my radar, and actually I've been hearing a lot of rumblings about this one, so I was eager to check it out, was the new one from Aethereus. Leiden, or Leiden. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce the word. L-E-I-D-E-N. So, Leiden. I don't know. Anyway, this also comes out on the 14th on the Artisan Era Records. This band formed in 2014 in Tacoma, Washington. This is their second full length. I actually heard a little bit of their first full length and forgot to pick it up because, I mean, there's a lot of bands that I love that I just forget to pick up their shit. But I did remember liking it, which was one of the main reasons why I wanted to review this one. Now, this is tech death, and this is Artisan Era tech death, and that actually does have a particular sound, it seems, just because the Artisan Era definitely signs a certain kind of band. And this band kind of fits into that mold, but also steps outside of it, which really made this kind of a refreshing listen. Now, Artisan Era tech death, and I hate saying it's kind of its own thing because, I don't know, I feel like I'm unfairly judging it a little bit, but it does have its own sound, generally very fast, very blast beat driven, lots of noodling, lots of keyboards, kind of neoclassical at times. This kind of has that, but it kind of doesn't. The opening track, Aberration, as soon as I heard I assume they're synths, but they could actually be strings, they did a really good job making them sound like strings, if they are in fact synths. But the overall tone is very ominous, and I kind of like that. The atmosphere was a little bit darker. Like generally when I hear a lot of the Artisan Era like keyboard stuff, it sounds occasionally too whimsical. This sounded dark and foreboding. And then once the music kicks in, it is heavy. Like this band loves big melodic hooks, but most of the time they kind of labor dissonant ones. So imagine a more dissonant version of Obscure because it is flying that fast, the riffs are that technical, but there's added brutality, especially when the vocals come in, because the vocals do some really cool flips. Back and forth between really low, brutal growls to higher screams. Kind of reminded me a lot of John Davey from Job for a Cowboy, or even Trevor from Black Dahlia Murder. But honestly, some of the lower vocals actually go back as far as like, you know, Frank Mullen, like in terms of just low, gurgly, and kind of brutal. And I also noticed something with the production too. Like this doesn't feel as compressed as a lot of, again, Artisan Era tech death. Artisan Era tech death, generally they compress the sound, and I understand why, because generally there's a lot of elements going on, lots of noodling, you want to be able to hear all the intricate melodies. The drums are generally kind of extra tight, and the drums in here are still kind of compressed, but there's a big prominent bass to this, and I really like that. And it's not just cool bass noodling, because there's plenty of that. It's actually heavy in terms of the tone, like it really fills out the sound. This has a really full sound for tech death, honestly. This really kind of took me back to like the first times that I had actually like jammed albums by the Faceless or even Decrepit Birth. It has, again, a more brutal, straight up death metal approach, and it doesn't kind of get lost in like all the extra stuff. And a really cool thing about this album is it's kind of proggy. Like it's not just tech death sort of transitions from one bit of noodling to the next bit of noodling and blast beats and like just intricate, you know, guitar lines that are, well, almost nonsensical, but they're kind of fun. This actually has some really cool prog structure to some of the songs. The Living Abyss and Upon Infinite Seas, the last track, both really take some hard dynamic shifts. And this, again, isn't just shifting from one technical part to the next technical part. They are shifting to softer sections with clean guitars, or more melodies with the synths. There's even some spoken word, well, I mean like growled word, but it's more clear. And even some kind of cleanish vocals on Upon Infinite Seas at the end too. There's a lot of stuff being explored on here, and this album does not forget like some of the bare essentials to really solid death metal: riffs and groove. There's a lot of groove on here, in fact. I was expecting sort of, you know, just the, you know, run of blast beats, you know, some slower sections here and there, but mostly blast beats. This actually breaks up really well. Shrouded in Kaleidoscopic Skin is actually driven by predominantly a slow, brutal groove that's just loaded with big chugs, but also like dissonant tags on the end of it. And the vocals on it are particularly brutal, and they kind of pick up the vocal cadence. Like that sort of makes up for the speed, for the lack of blast beats that are on that song. it's just flat out brutal and heavy and scorching lead work pretty much across the board. Now, there are a lot of guest musicians on here and guest vocals, but honestly, from amazing solo to amazing solo, I couldn't tell you who was actually a guest on here. I could just tell you that all the leads were absolutely incredible. But to name some names, Mike Lowe and Malcolm Q from Inferi both do leads on here, and well, I assume they were awesome. I tried to remember which tracks they were on, but honestly, I was just pretty much mesmerized by every lead on here. And we even have some guest vocals from Michael Alvarez of Flub and Kyle Rasmussen of Vitriol, providing some extra layers of vocal grit to this, which vocally, it's very layered. There's lots of like just big nasty flips, fast vocal cadences, slow deliberate ones. There's a lot going on in here, and that's kind of the thing that really kept me interested. It didn't feel like it was getting a lot of the same, and the fact that there's a lot of cool songwriting dynamics from track to track, it keeps the tracks fresh. Like, not a lot of this really ran together. And these are longer songs too, and generally when I see longer songs with tech death, I think, okay, there's gonna be a lot of room for noodling here, but again, they don't overdo that. They break it up well with cool riffs, cool bits of atmosphere, and the fact that they do that really, again, makes this more of an adventurous album. Honestly, in terms of Artisan Era stuff, like, this is probably one that really has kind of latched onto me a little bit more from an initial listen. Now, it isn't as though I don't like a lot of bands on that label, it's just they do sign a lot of the same stuff, and it kind of does run together. But honestly, this band, again, doing some different stuff. And even throwing in nods to less modern acts like the Morbid Angel vibe that is on Son of a Nameless Father, which when I looked at that title, I was like, man, are you trying to call me a son of a bitch, but you just don't want to swear? It's okay. I get it. But that song actually has slower grooves, a very distinctly just dark, foreboding feel to it, and these sludgier riffs that are in the beginning mixed with the big triplet chugs that are kind of near the middle really just give off that big Morbid Angel vibe, which, yay. And there's even some interesting transitions that are a little bit like outside of the box in here. On the track Behold the World Eater, which is what Bolt Thrower fans say when they fucking show off their copy of Realm of Chaos. I know I do. But there is a weird little transition to almost sort of jazzy play. And there's even a fun little piano and bass sort of like melody that runs through Endless Cycle of Rebirth, which is an exceptionally brutal song, but they like to squeeze in that weird little off-kilter moment. But honestly, it's those moments, I think, that really kind of show the level of creativity in this band, because they transition into them really well. And again, while synths are a bit of a mixed bag with me, I do like the overall feel of this. It has sort of a gothic horror meets like Hitchcock sort of vibe. Like, it's kind of cinematic in spots. But there are sections in here where this album kind of overdid things. I think the synths that are on The Living Abyss kind of overpower the guitars in sections. And there are segues between tracks occasionally, and sometimes they do run a bit long, and these songs are already pretty long and just chock full of fucking lots of cool stuff. And honestly, having a long outro just kind of stretches it out a little bit too much. And one thing I don't necessarily think it's entirely that bad is the fact that a lot of the guitar work is fiercely dissonant. There's a lot of weird crawling, dissonant, atonal riffs and melodies. And honestly, it comes to a point where like a lot of melody is carried by the synths, the bass lines, or the solos. Now, the solos do a great job making up for any sort of like lack of melody, because generally they're very melodic and very well done. But occasionally I would like to hear some more melodic hooks in there, especially mingled in with all those clever synths and such that are in there too. But overall, I really dug this. And honestly, going into this, I really wasn't sure. Again, like Artisan Era, I don't hate any of the bands on there, but it's generally not my thing, and generally it becomes sort of a bullet train of blast beats and noodles, but this kind of broke out of that a bit, and I really enjoyed that. So overall, I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I really dug this, and again, like, tech death is real hit or miss with me, but the songwriting in here is very fresh and very interesting. I love the dynamics. Again, it sometimes feels more progressive than just tech on here. The lead work is absolutely incredible. The vocal work is absolutely incredible as well. A lot went into this. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it really gels together well. And a big thing is the pacing too. The songs don't run together very much, and I really appreciated that. There's a lot of dynamics that are exclusive to certain songs. That makes these songs really stand out. It's technical enough to fucking dazzle any prog and tech death fan, but it's also brutal as fuck when it needs to be, and I like that. This is a solid album. I strongly recommend checking out this one. I'm going to have to go pick this one up and probably pick up their first one as well. So yeah, if you're a fan of insane technical death metal with just wild songwriting, this might be for you. So if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you would like to help us out there will be a link down below. We also will have shirts again soon, and I can't wait to show you guys what we got, but still waiting for them to get shipped to us. I gotta approve a design, and there's steps, but they're gonna be here, and I can't wait to make an announcement. And with that announcement, naturally, there will be a giveaway, because we are on the precipice of hitting 10,000 subscribers, and holy shit, thank you guys so much. This has become, again, something well beyond my initial scope. I love doing this, and I want to keep doing this, and the fact that you guys are joining me along with this is so damn cool. So yeah, this is the part of the video where I fucking thank you profusely, because I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so damn much. And with that, we will catch you later.